Buy here, pay here, people. It's a beautiful day. Go grab yourself another cup of joe and say hello to Jim and Michelle Rhodes on the Buy Here, Pay Here morning show. Take it away, you two.
Good morning. Happy Monday.
Hello from Oklahoma. Single digits this morning.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
Frozen out here.
It's been snowing everywhere we walk. It's like put on 3 layers of socks because it's just the floor's cold. But welcome everybody. If you want to go ahead and shout out where you're coming from. You don't have to add the weather because we have friends in Florida. Every time it's like, oh, well, I'm wearing my winter flip-flops.
Yeah. One of our guests might be in Florida this morning. So.
Yeah.
You know who you are, George.
We are. Yeah, we know who you are, George. He loves to rub in the weather out there. So, happy winter Monday, and big game yesterday finished up. We know he's playing in Super Bowl in a couple of weeks, and so excited about that. It should be kind of fun.
Yeah.
Jim's team didn't. I don't know if all y'all noticed on Friday, but I was drinking out of a Cowboys coffee cup.
She says that's my team. That's a team that I've followed since the 70s. So.
Yeah, well, it was available and it was a big cup. And if those of you guys who know me, I drink tanker amounts of coffee in the morning. So, we do.
So I want to apologize in advance for our sniffling this morning. We both I'm recovering. Michelle seems to be better this morning, but we're dealing with winter cold conditions, and so we'll apologize for that in advance. But we should get to our guest today. We've got really important news. Folks are tuning in to hear from our guests, and so I think most everybody has seen that the news that went out on social media this weekend, and so we reached out by text message on Sunday and said, "Hey, if you're available to come to the microphones, we'd love to have you tell the whole story." And so we have Scott Allen from NIADA, the current board president, and also Rob Fox. Yeah, let's bring Rob in.
Add him on into the stream.
There's Rob.
I'm going to do this because Jim loves to have things in order. So. Good morning, you two. Thanks so much for joining us.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So, I got to jump in and kind of tell the quick story for anybody that's tuning in that, wasn't following any social media this weekend. We're aware that there was some news that was supposed to come. It kind of got leaked on social media that there was a big merger that was happening, and you gentlemen are right in the middle of that. So we wanted to have a chance to bring you in here and share with our viewers. A lot of folks have interest in this story, and so I might have you, Scott, first just kind of share with us the news of the weekend. I read the press release, and we've got some things to talk about from there. But Scott, you might just kind of share with us from your perspective what this news means.
Sure. Thank you very much, Jim. The announcement was made Friday night at the DPG all group meeting in Orlando, Florida. And it culminated from a lot of work between Rob and I, starting all the way back in June of last year, where we first met at the TIADA convention for dinner and began discussing maybe possibilities of coming together, working together, and making this a great platform for all of our dealers. And throughout that process, we set a goal line for the DPG meeting to see if we could accomplish that task. And of course, within all negotiations, everything sort of happened, very quickly there toward the very end, when you have a deadline to meet. And graciously, Rob was such a tremendous asset in this process and making all this happen. And his vision for this is really what made this come together. Again, Rob, I want an opportunity to thank you very much for the collaboration that we've had over the last several months and the opportunity to bring this together.
Yeah, that's great. And Rob, before you jump in, I got to say, Michelle and I kind of feel like we're running a news desk here this morning. Like we're not used to being news people, but this is kind of the breaking thing. It's really exciting. We know there's a lot of opportunity around unification. So Rob, you might share kind of, your perspective on how this all came to be.
Well, again, so Lawrence Mead called me up and said, "Hey, I want you to have dinner with Scott." Now, Scott and I had met one time previously, and unfortunately, it was at a funeral. And he said, "Hey, I want you to have dinner with Scott." Lawrence, how he knows, but he knew the guy that owned the restaurant or something. We had a private room at the restaurant at TIADA, probably the hardest seat to get in the place. And I don't know, we spent maybe 3 hours talking. And we talked about the possibilities and visions, and we agreed. I mean, and that's what I'll tell you. We started with, I agreed that it should be under NIADA. I agreed that, some of the stuff we were doing, there was a reaction to what was happening, which anytime you react is not really a good business practice. You should always plan. And so we started talking in June. And then, as Scott said, it got real serious. It was harder for him than me because I'm a single operator. I have, I have employees who I consider partners and who are partners. But still, I mean, it's easy because I can do what I want. Scott has a board, and it was like we're trying to juggle around the board meeting, trying to keep it private. We didn't want it to leak. And then it was like hair on fire the last 3 weeks.
Got it.
Even though we talked for 6 months, it was, there we go.
Bring it together, sure. So I might.
And that's private. I mean, no one knew what was going on.
Yeah, you might share, Rob. I'm interested. Like I know in the press release, it referred to kind of some of the things about dealer feedback, and so I know that a lot of what you learned through this experience. I know you were out there efforting to make a better experience for dealers, and so you might just kind of share what you guys felt like you did through the DPG thing that's going to be of benefit to the industry and to just education as a whole.
Well, just like the first thing we talked about this morning, we got on the call. This last weekend where we had an all group meeting, the little guys go into little guy 20 groups, big guys go into big guy 20 groups. Where you get the synergy is when they all get together and they get to walk up and they have something in common. And they can go up to a Michael Thomason or a Bob Oakley or a whomever and ask a simple question. But again, it's on common ground because they're all part of a 20 group.
Sure.
And it gives them the opportunity to do that where they don't have that throughout the year. It also gives you the opportunity to skip around to different 20 groups. Not that we encourage that, but to visit them to see maybe what's different in that one.
Right. Then
the automated composite. One of the biggest, barriers is doing that composite by hand.
Sure.
There's a lot to be said for doing it by hand because you know your numbers then, but it stops the smaller guy who doesn't.
Oh no.
Shoot, we lost him. Right in mid-sentence.
Hopefully he comes in really soon.
He'll get reconnected.
Oh, darn it.
We'll give him a minute. But go ahead, Scott.
Yeah,
you might
sure.
kind of share what you saw. I could see you nodding your head as he was talking through some of the data stuff.
Absolutely. There are more than just those two things that he's mentioning, but with the AutoMaster program that he developed and put a lot of effort and resources into that program. Hey, Rob, you're back. So I'm going to yield the floor back to you, sir. I was just continuing.
You live in the country, this happens. I'm sorry. Like I said, the automated of the composite, hopefully open it up. And then, why we, that's the two major things I think that we did at Buckeye to make the DPGs maybe more accessible and more attractive.
Yeah.
But what you find is you have to have a certain size. And what prompted Scott and I getting together, you have to have a certain size so you can vary your product offerings, whether it's a service group, finance group, operations group, collections group. Those are all needed, but you have to have, not everyone wants to participate in that.
Yeah.
You have to have a bigger group to pull from to offer those, to have those different offerings. And that's really what started our conversation.
Yeah.
Sure. So I see Amanda's chiming in. I don't know if you guys can see the comments on that. Amanda Sanchez chimed in with some thoughts there, and we have some ideas, Amanda, so we're happy to contribute. But Scott, let me bring you back in. I think one thing I might share before you jump in, Scott, is that, we had a chance to meet Melanie Wilson at the conference in Orlando a few weeks back, and And of course, the theme from her conversation was, unity, unity, unity. And of course, we're very much about that as well. And so this is an exciting step in that direction. And so you might just share from the board standpoint and what this means for you in terms of unity.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's been a goal from the very beginning of my presidency back in June. And Melanie absolutely shares that. In fact, she's the first one to bring that vision of that an association like ours is not really in the space to compete with anyone in the private sector. That's not what we're there for. We're there to fill in the gaps where dealers are, where things are missing. And that's really the focus for the association and Melanie. I think going forward and forever really is that we want to fill in the gaps and make sure that we're delivering to our dealers the things that they're not seeing and that they don't have. And in no way do we ever intend to compete on any basis, because that's not what we're here for. And so I think she has the right message, and I think she's doing a fantastic job right now and helping at least lead us forward in the interim position.
Yeah. So you might share with us too, Scott, what we noticed in the language that it's being described as a merger rather than acquisition. So maybe help us understand what that means from your perspective.
Well, first of all, I mean, Rob Fox put all the investment into this, and we're not buying anything, except that we're taking a lot of Rob has graciously given us a lot of the efforts and resources that he put into this DPG platform that, quite frankly, have made it a much better platform for everyone. The DMS system, I mean, through being able to automatically get the information in from the composites is key. We at NIADA want to leverage our industry partners and all of the industry stakeholders that we have contacts with to expand on that, to bring that to as many DPS providers as we possibly can. And we certainly recognize that the system that Rob has developed is, quite frankly, head and tails above anything else we've ever seen before. So
very nice.
Awesome.
So Rob, same thing from you, kind of what the merger really means from your side, or from what it looks like for DPG going forward.
Well, for DPG, I mean, it's now part of NIADA, so that's really going to be directed by them and their resources. As far as the industry, I mean, we're better together, okay? And that's what I've said. I mean, and I've said that every time I stand up in front of my group. Buckeye, we service buyer payers, and when they do better, we do better. But one of the things we lost focus on was what NIADA does for all of us, and it keeps us unified. It keeps us together, and it keeps us better. And we need them. We need to get back to that. Okay. Yeah. And that is as CEO of Buckeye, that's going to be my focus. Where can I help?
Mm-hmm.
And again, I kept on telling them, better together. I'm better with Scott. Okay. I'm better with NIADA.
Yeah.
And it's a realization that we lost focus on. I think as an industry, we lost it.
Yeah. Well, I know that, and you mentioned Lawrence Mead. I know Lawrence has been out there efforting part of the BHPH commission, and there's been, obviously within IADA, they've got the independent retail side. Jim and Michelle over here, very much focused on the buy here, pay here element. But yeah, we know that that's been, part of the effort. And so we're glad to see this is a nice step in that direction of, the unification. And I certainly can see what you mean by, the being better together. So Rob, you might also share with me just kind of from if I am a DPG member now, I'm under leadership of NIADA. I mean, is there anything that we can anticipate in terms of what that experience looks like for members of a DPG group?
Well, so on the whole, hopefully not much changes, okay, except for maybe more options. But having said that, hopefully it just gets better.
Yeah.
And I don't know, Scott said it's a merger. They have the name. If they want to keep the name, they might go back to just keeping 20 groups. But as far as it going forward, we're working all that. They're working that through, really, not us. Yeah. We're helping shepherd it over that way. But as far as the plan, that's going to be Jeremy and Melanie doing the plan. And one thing I've learned over the last couple of weeks, good hands.
Yeah.
It's in good hands. They've got the vision that we have.
Yeah. Great. So Scott, anything to add there?
Yeah, I mean, nothing to the things that Rob has brought to the table, and we've re-envisioned the 20 group program from our side over the last year or so too, as well. One of the things that we've been working on diligently as well is to start express groups for smaller dealers, those who are like myself, under 10 employees or less, small operators who make it difficult for them to get out of their office for extended periods of time. And we're looking now at finding those type of hubs that have hotels right near airports, where smaller dealers like myself can get into an airport and full day meeting and get back out, and possibly look at doing that on the weekends as well, so that we don't remove them from their businesses for an extended period of time, but then give them the same value that we can give all of our 20 group members understand it is owned and operated by those 20 group members, and the things that they want to see in their 20 groups is what we want to see in their 20 groups. So we have a 20 group steering committee, which will be made up of one representative from each group that they will elect to sit on this committee for the next year. We depend on those dealers and those 20 group members to help guide us and direct us on what they need, what they see coming, and where they really need the most benefit from the program. And we will listen to them, and we will do what we can to make sure that happens for them as well, because they're the driving force in this.
Yeah, that's great. I think the listening part is a key word. You guys have been attentive to what dealers are needing out there, and you're working hard to try to fill those gaps, as you say. And so that's important. I think that's good stuff.
I love the idea that there's just more options.
Yeah.
It's that there's been like the granddaddy of models for 20 groups for a really long time. And it's been, something that isn't really an option for smaller dealers. So I love that there are more options out there for, the smaller guys to be able to jump into that. So one day they can go into some of the bigger groups as they grow their dealership. And I love the idea that it gives them also the ability to tap into some of the best moderators and things like that as well.
Well, I can say that I echo the sentiment of a lot of folks when I say from the sidelines that, we're fortunate in the buy here, pay here space to have more education. If you look up even just 3 years ago, we've got way more education, available at our fingertips than we had before. And so that's a beautiful thing. And I just think, kudos and congratulations to both of you for, working to bring this together. It's obviously a very positive thing. I'm not letting you go. I just I want to learn a little bit. Well, I have two smart guys here. I want to get some perspective about the buy here, pay here space. And we can talk more about your merger if you like, but while I have you here, I want to find out maybe from you first, Scott, what you look for in the buy here, pay here space. You're a buy here, pay here dealer yourself. Like, what's your general sense about the near future of our industry?
Well, from a buy here, pay here perspective, I think the future is bright. I think we all have heard that 2023 and 24 is going to be good years for the buy here, pay here sector, with inflation on the rise, with the tightening up of credit that we're seeing. We certainly see an opportunity for the buy here, pay here sector. Always, though, I am mindful of the retail sector as well. Only because of my position here at the NIADA, I want to be able to be that person for both buy here, pay here, and for the retail industry. They're going to have a little more struggles from going forward in 23 and 24 with the banks, the lenders, et cetera, the drop in the higher end cars that we've seen so quickly. It's going to drastically affect their margins. It's going to affect their covenants if they're leveraged. And so, we cannot forget about those dealers as well. But of course, I'm a buy here, pay here dealer.
Right.
We stick together, and we're always going to make sure that we're heard. And I think that's an important part of what we do within NIADA. And I actually think that buy here, pay here is going to be a great thing to be in the next coming years. And so we plan on educating and taking full advantage of that opportunity and showing those opportunities to our dealers so that they can thrive. And by the same token, we need to be aware of what's happening on the retail side as well, and do what we can do to help our retail dealers during this time as well. So.
Sure. Yeah. And Rob, your perspective on buy here, pay here?
Well, on buy here, pay here the next 2 years, I think is going to be great. I mean, I think we're going to start, maybe we'll start seeing some credit scores, and clients coming in because of tightening. I think that our retail guys, I think you're going to see them get stronger, the ones who are already in business, the good operators, because it's going to not, I think that what we're going to see is the startups are going to kind of dwindle because of the capital crunch.
Mm-hmm.
There's not going to be that big delta any longer. Borrowing money at 7 and 8 and higher is going to limit new entries.
Sure.
Which will then give the opportunity for our current dealer base to have less competition as they go out to auctions and things like that. And and we're keeping an eye on the new car space also, with all the friction between the factory and the franchisees with the EVs and the Elon Musk making it where you don't have to have a franchise in states. So now Ford and General Motors they're trying to bifurcate from their franchise. So it's interesting to watch. Where 3 years ago someone might have said Carvana was the biggest concern. Well, it's not. I think what's chasing us now is the rates, which helps the buyer payer, and then I think it also at the end of the day will help the established retail, even though it's hard to see today. But I think it will help them 6-7 months down the road when there's not that many new entries and the prices drop, and maybe the grosses will come back.
Yeah. No, I get that. Did you have something?
No.
I was going to just say, I think we share that. We echo the opportunity. We see buy here, pay here is really well positioned to take on business. Over the years, I've said, I expect if you ask me to predict buy here, pay here, I say it's going to stay about the same. Like it's been pretty consistent over the years. And typically what I also say is that dealers often are, even though there might be more demand tomorrow, they're not in a position to capitalize it. So I'll throw in a quick shameless plug for our event on March 30th, because that's what we're going to spend the whole day focusing on, a live stream event. We're going to try to help dealers get better positioned to access growth capital and just make sure they're well structured to do what's next. And there should be a lot of growth opportunity for folks in the coming years here.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so
any closing?
No, I think we can let these gentlemen go. They're busy guys.
Well, but before we let you go, is there anything, just closing thoughts, Rob?
I'll tell you what, I'm excited. I'm glad this happened. I cannot tell you how fun it was to work with Scott. When we can keep a secret for 6 months, we're pretty much
I'm impressed.
We're unicorns. Myself, him, and Lawrence Mead. And I appreciate every moment of it.
Very nice.
That's beautiful.
It was great.
Yeah,
That's
those
beautiful.
are class gentlemen, and
Yes.
yourself included. Scott, final thoughts from you?
Yeah, just to echo what Rob said, thank you very much, Rob, for going through this. It's been an absolute pleasure to get you to know you better during this process. Thank you to Lawrence Mead again for helping bring us together. Today or tomorrow is the last day of the month, so W-2s are out. Everything has begun. Buy here, pay here dealers. So I am ready to get to work. I know all our buy here, pay here dealers around the country are too. Looking forward to exciting tax season.
Absolutely. Thanks again, gentlemen. And
thank you.
We're looking forward to working with the team, the executive team.
Yeah, we appreciate you being willing to come on this morning with a little bit of short notice, and really appreciate you sharing this whole process with us, because I know that there are a lot of people out there that wanted to know more than what just the press release said. So,
and I always have to tell people I'm excited too. You just have to remember, this is my excited face. This is what I look like when I'm excited. No, it's good stuff.
I've got enough excitement for both of us.
That's right.
All right. So thanks again, you guys. I appreciate you.
Thank you, Rob.
Thank you, Scott. We'll be talking.
All right. We'll talk to you both later. Thanks. All right.
Good
well,
stuff.
Exciting news. Yeah. Great stuff. Really glad that we could bring them on and have some of that conversation. It's I love watching this kind of thing happen, where it's coming together, and we've been out there. It's like unity and as well, and not realizing that we were parallel in a pretty vocal way with the things that were happening behind the scenes.
Well, it's pretty easy to be parallel when you're all trying to do what's good for dealers.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
So, that's all good.
And unity is good for dealers.
Well, I think we should wrap up and let folks get to their thing. I got one quick mention. We have a webinar tomorrow night for those who want to find some ways to connect with their community
What's your
better.
story?
So to incorporate some storytelling and help your community get to know you and how that plays into
And
marketing.
those who are members of NIADA, there is a coupon for you to be able to get in for free. So it's NIADA free, capital F free, and also some of the different Facebook groups as well. So if is any interest to you guys, please feel free to register. It's on Eventbrite, and you can see it on BHPHNationTV.com.
And we'll tell you about the other upcoming events in future episodes.
All right.
So
you guys have such a great day. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. We appreciate it.
Have a good week.
And we'll talk to y'all later.